Guess what? You're probably washing your car wrong. And so am I. But fortunately, James here knows what he's doing and I don't. So
yes. So everyone thinks they know how to wash a car, but there's actually quite a lot of thought and processes involved with washing your car correctly and maintaining a good paint job. So today we're going to show you exactly how to do that, the things you should be doing and the things you most definitely should not to achieve that perfect looking finish and just a great overall car. So yes, today we are washing the mighty Mazda 6 MPS. This car we recently picked up from the auctions for our Lemon 2 Lambo series. If you haven't already, check that series out. It's basically Morgan and I flipping cars until we hopefully get that Lamborghini. We'll link up the playlist in the top corner of your screen. But today, we're washing the Mazda 6 MPS. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people think they know what they're doing when they're washing their cars, but unfortunately they don't. There's a lot of common things that people do that actually, over time, end up wrecking the paint of their vehicle. So today we're going to take you through how we wash our cars, the things to definitely do and definitely not to do. And yeah, hopefully you can learn along the way. Now, we are in no way, shape or form detailers of any kind. We've just been cleaning cars for a very long time. So first up, we're going to clear out all the leaves and crap that's just sitting on the car. The car has been sitting for about a week or two. And then once we've done that, we'll move on to the first step. All right, before you put any water, any product, anything to your car, there are a couple of things that you need to think about before you start. First being, the car needs to be cool to the touch. It cannot be hot. If your car's hot and then you go put a product onto your vehicle, onto the paint, it's just gonna cook and evaporate off and you're gonna be left with little white spots and watermarks left on your paint, and it's just annoying. Second of all, trying to be in a undercovered area. Right now we're underneath our carport. Ideally, in an ideal world, you'd be in a washing bay. Shout out to the Chop Shop. They actually have a dedicated washing bay, but under a carport's fine, just to try and stop any of the kind of leaves, crud that's blowing around, getting in and sitting on top of your paint and into your shampoos and whatnot. But first, we'll move on to the first step of cleaning your vehicle, and that is to start with the wheels. So if you can see on the wheel here, especially around the barrel of the wheel, it's going a nice pinky deep purple color. This is the product actually reacting with the iron contaminants on the wheel, so it is actually doing its job. So it's eaten in. Now all we need to do is get a brush, work it in a little more into all the nooks and crevices, nooks and crannies, and yeah, hose it off with some water. So we've finished washing up the wheels. They're now looking good. The wheels are actually in really good condition. Next up, what we're going to be tackling is the front here. We've got quite a lot of mud splatters, bug splatters, all sorts of road grime and stuff on the front of the car, as well down the sills of the car and at the rear. So what we've got is we've got a heavy duty multi-purpose cleaner. We're just going to spray that all over the problem areas, and then hopefully that product will help lift off all that grime and we can wash it off again with just a hose. Alright, so we've gone over the car with the heavy duty all-purpose cleaner and washed it all off with just some water, and just that alone takes off almost all the crud, all the splatters from the road. It has exposed quite a few rock chips in the front of the bumper, which is kind of annoying. But yes, the car's pretty well and good clean. There's also some bird poo on this side of the car that completely took that off. But that was only the lower quarters of the car. Now this is an optional step, but it is well worth it if you have a pressure washer handy. We're going to be snow foaming the entire car and then washing off. Basically, the whole idea of the washing process is to remove as much crud and contaminants on your paint as humanly possible without having to physically touch the paint with your hands. The reason for this is as soon as you get a mitt and you're rubbing around in the paint, if there's any contaminants on the surface, you're then just rubbing those contaminants into the paint, creating swirl marks and making the overall finish of your vehicle not that great. So we're going to hook up the pressure washer and foam the entire car. So we've now snow foamed the Mighty MPS and it is looking lovely. It's created a nice good layer of foam over the entire car. So now all that you have to do is sit and wait, let it soak in for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll jump back to the pressure washer and hose it all off. So we have gotten rid of all the snow foam off the MPS, washed it down with the pressure washer, and it is looking immaculate. The snow foam really helped bring the shine back to the MPS. The paint's actually in really good condition, barring the rock chips on the front bumper, but we're not done yet. We've still got 2 more steps, and the first one being that we need to now finally hand wash it. So we've done as good a job as we can today here with all of our surroundings and equipment to remove as much contaminants off the vehicle before we have to actually rub in. So today we're going to be using the 2-bucket method. We'll go through what that is, and then finally how to wash all that off the car and dry the car. So the 2-bucket method of washing. Basically you have the bucket that your soap and mitt go into before you wash the car with the mitt. And then you have your bucket that you put the mitt into and rub against the grit guard at the bottom here after you've wiped down the vehicle. And the reason for this is with your mitt, which we've got here, this is just a nice lamb's wool hand mitt. Basically when you're rubbing the paint down, there will be stuff, contaminants getting into the wool in here. The more you rub that on your paint, the more you're rubbing in and creating scratches and swirl marks. So after each pass over a panel, you bring back to the bucket with the grit guard, you rub the mitt into the bottom, trying to dislodge all the contaminants in the mitt. They will fall to the bottom of the bucket. You return to your bucket number 1 and rinse and repeat until you've done the whole vehicle. So it's getting a bit late here, so we've had to set up a few lights, but when you are washing your car with your mitt, best to start from the top down. Reason being that generally the roofs are the most cleanest parts of the vehicle, and your sills, your wheel wells, under the bumpers and stuff like that are your dirtiest. So you're going from least dirtiest to most dirtiest. That way you're not rubbing in the most dirtiest into your not so problematic areas. Basic rule of thumb is about a panel per wash, then go back to your bucket, rub it through the grit guard, back into your first bucket with the soap, rinse, repeat until the entire vehicle is done.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've now hand washed the entire MPS, and you're probably thinking that we're done, but we are not. When you're spraying the car down with high pressure water, you get a lot of this kind of bubbling and water just sitting on the surface. So a little trick to help you in the drying process is to take the actual gun attachment off your hose and basically wet the car down with just the end of a hose and let the water sheet off rather than creating all these splatters. That way there'll be less water left on the car for you to dry. So the last and final step of washing a car properly is to dry it. So after sheeting the water off the car, there isn't too much water left on the car, besides just the windows and that. So we've got a giant microfiber towel here. Best way to use these is to fold them into quarters. That way you can use one side. Once that side's all wet, you can flip it over, use the other. When drying the car, best tend to dry one way, so say vertically first, then flip to another dry side and then go horizontally and keep switching around, and that way you'll have the best results of getting the water off the car. So we'll go ahead and dry the vehicle now. So I lied, that wasn't the last step, there's one more, and that is to dress the tires with some tire shine and just complete the insanely good, clean look that this car has.
So the MPS is looking great, nice and pristine. The steps actually weren't too difficult, pretty straightforward, and I guess now I know how to wash my Silvia.
Yeah, the whole kind of idea behind it, philosophy is a weird word to use, but I guess philosophy is you're trying to remove as much crud and contaminants on the paint without having to physically touch the car. As soon as you touch the car, you're running the risk of rubbing those contaminants and grit into the paint. That's how you get your swell marks, your marring, and a bit of a hazing kind of look on your paint. So if you can avoid that, then yeah, you'll be sweet, your car will look great. In terms of detailing the car, we were just looking at washing the car in this episode. That's a whole another field of like prepping the surface with clay bars, cut and polishing, waxes, all that kind of thing. We can go into that into a later video, but this car we're just looking to flip real quick. We don't need to cut and polish and make it look even better, because as it sits now, the car looks quite good. Very, very good actually. I keep looking at it, it's right here. But yeah, so there is a whole nother, I guess, ballpark and level in the detailing side of cars, which then just takes it that step further. But for our purposes here, this was more than enough. And you'll normally find that if you just keep that same kind of mentality in your head of removing as much contaminants and grit off your car without touching the car, then your car will always look good and always look clean. The detail is just to take it that next step. But if you've enjoyed this video, you found it informative, you found it useful, hit that like button, comment below. Let us know what you were doing. I've heard horror stories of people washing with brushes and all sorts of weird crap, throwing the excess water that they have left in the bucket back onto the car. So all of the crap you've just taken off the car has now been put back on the car. Let us know, what did you do? I know I used to throw the bucket of water back over the car. When I had my first car, I was doing it. I'll put my hand up. I was an idiot. But yeah, let us know, what are some of the idiotic things that you used to do, but obviously you don't do now. And most importantly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It does mean a lot, and we'll see you in the next Project B video.